Hey everyone, Shrike here. So I didn't think they'd actually do it, but they did it. Makiatto is confirmed as the next limited banner in Girls Frontline 2. Now the reason I didn't expect it was that she's an ice element, and I figured after giving us Suomi and Lotta for free, they wouldn't continue to push ice so hard. I assumed that they would try and create some diversity in team building. I, for one, have been using Mosin Nagant and was hoping for an electric unit to fill out that team. But I guess now everybody will be using the same team, the ice team. Which, as far as diversity goes, is unfortunate, but as far as everything else goes, it rocks. Makiatto is an S-tier doll, according to Pridewin, and even if she wasn't, I mean, Kafka, right? Who's gonna skip that? So this video is gonna be a lot less formal. I just want to take a look at her kit, share with you my first impressions, my initial thoughts. So let's get started. Okay, so as you can see here, she's a sniper rifle user. I wonder if she's going to be able to use Mosin Nagant's weapon. Wonder if that'll synergize with her, because I've got that. Alright, basic skills, pretty normal, nothing different there. Active skill, cold-blooded flash shot. Range 9, confections cost 2, stability damage 1. Already not great stability damage, but maybe that's not where she shines. Select one enemy target within a radius of 9 tiles, dealing 160 damage of your attack power. As freeze damage, the critical damage of this attack is increased by 30% each time you deal damage. Gain 1 stack of Invincible Belief. Now I wonder what Invincible Belief is. But this one seems pretty good. It seems if you stack a lot of crit damage, crit rate on her, then the crit damage increase will really pay out. Let's take, I guess we'll look at the fortifications as we go. Perform 2 attacks. Critical damage no longer, perform 2 attacks. Critical damage no longer increases further than 30%. Or it no longer increases at all. The critical rate of the second attack is increased by 100% and the critical damage is increased by 80%. Wait, the critical damage no longer increases, but critical damage is increased by 80%? How does that make any sense? Okay, maybe it just means that this critical damage increase no longer exists, and instead you get critical damage increase of 80. That's strangely worded, but 2 attacks. That's already very good. Her first segment might be worth getting. Professional Tactics. It's a buff. Selects one enemy target. It's not a buff. Selects one enemy target within a radius of 9 tiles and deals 130% of your attack power's physical damage. Gain 4 points of Confectance Index and gain 2 stacks of Standard Strategy. Oh, that's probably why it's considered a buff. That's a lot of Confectance Index. Seems like what you'd want to do to replenish your Confectance Index after you've blown it all. Do Cold-Blooded Flash Shot a few times. Then use Professional Tactics to recover it all. And the damage isn't negligible either. So, pretty good effects there. And depending on what Standard Strategy is, might be really good. Alright, Absolute Mental Defense is her ultimate. Cooldown 3, okay. Gain Frost Barrier and Alert. Now, as far as I'm aware, Alert differs from sort of Convaleria. It's not when someone enters your alert zone. It has more to do with an ally of yours being attacked within range, from what I understand. I could be wrong. Lasting for 2 turns. The Frost Barrier absorbs 65% of your initial attack power up to a maximum of 60% of your maximum HP. Frost Barrier is going to give her some good survivability, but you're going to want to build HP and attack onto her. And you already want to build crit rate onto her. So she seems like she's going to be very good, but hard to build. Hard to really maximize. Fortification Segment 2 increases the absorption amount of Frost Barrier to 80% of your initial attack power up to a maximum of 80% of your maximum HP. Increases the number of times ambush can trigger by 1 each turn. That's probably the effect that Alert gives you. Alert allows you to ambush. Fortification Segment 6 After using absolute mental defense, gain 2 points of Confectance Index at the end of each action, with the effect stacking twice. Increase the number of times ambush can trigger by 1 each turn. After ambush triggers a critical hit, gain double focus for 1 turn. Okay. So she seems like she's going to be gaining a lot of Confectance Index. Some good sustain. Good Confectance Index economy. Alright, and her passive, Battlefield Insight. Increase critical rate by 40% and reduce critical damage by 10%. Okay. Maybe we don't need to build crit rate onto her. I mean, still build crit rate onto her if you can, but don't prioritize it. And reduce critical damage by 10%, that's not important. We're gaining it elsewhere. At the start of the round, if your HP is greater than 80%, gain insight and steady movement. So you want to keep her topped off, health-wise. And you want... And this will be active at the beginning of every battle, basically. And stay movement until next round begins. When attacking a target with Frozen, ignore 4 points of Stability Index. And increase damage by 20%. When attacking a target with Stiffening, ignore 6. And increase it by 30. Alright, Frozen I think is when... their legs are just covered in ice and it hurts them when they move. Stiffening, I believe, is when they're just locked in place, they can't move. And Fortification segment, when dealing freezing damage to a target with Frozen, increases ignored stability to 6. And Stiffening to 10. And then the segment 5 is freezing when dealing freeze damage to a target with Frozen or Stiffening, increase the ignore stability index to 10 points, increasing damage by 30. Okay. So there's not a lot of negatives here in this kit. There was stability damage 1. Oh no. And then they covered that over here with the ignore stability. There was the crit rate, and then increased crit rate by 40%. They tried to put a negative in here with reduced critical damage by 10%, but then they gave us more critical damage elsewhere. This seems like this character is going to be crazy good in a full ice team. She's going to be exceptional. But if she's the only ice unit in the team, I'm afraid she's only going to be incredible. That's her ceiling, I believe, in a non-ice team, unfortunately. So do I recommend pulling for her? Absolutely. I've got about 50 pulls saved, which may not even be enough to get one of them, but I'm gonna hope for 2, because that segment 1 is really good. Alright, that's it for me. I'm gonna fly. See you in the next one. Bye.